Hey guys, so the standard I chose to unpack applies to first graders, and it's to know and apply grade level phonics and word analysis skills in decoding words. The first thing I would do would be a formative assessment to see how many students know the names and or the sounds of each letter of the alphabet. And then from that, I will decide where I start in the Jolly Phonics program. By the time students get to first grade, they're expected to know at least all the names and sounds of the letters of the alphabet. As in my school, we get a lot of new students, foreign students. Most of the students will either know the names or the sounds, and some will know both. So the first two strands will be below proficiency, would be I can recognize the 42 letter names or sounds, or I can recognize the 42 letter names and sounds. As a formative assessment, I will use whiteboards at first and say the names of the letters and see how many students can write them correctly on their whiteboards. Another thing, then I will go on to saying the sounds of the letters and see how many students get those correct. I will also be using different flashcards and listen to whether the students will say the name of the sound or the name of the letter, or the sound of the letter correctly. And that will help me identify where to start with each student. And usually they fall into two groups. The first group is not being able to recognize the sounds and some of the names. The second group will be able to recognize most of the sounds of the letters, and they will go on to probably group 4 in the Jolly Phonics program, where they have to identify two letters that make one sound. To get my students at the proficiency level that I want them to be at, the skills that are required, I will teach the 42 letter sounds and the main alternative vowel sounds. Then I'll teach them how to use the phonics to decode and read regular words. After that, you move on to blending letter sounds together to read new words. And then I'll introduce tricky words. There's the 72 tricky words, and I will help them use the phonics that they have acquired and learned to identify the tricky parts. Then I'll move on to read words containing taut grapheme or phoneme correspondences. And the last skill they will have to master is then read words containing common endings such as s, es, ing, ed, er. And then I can do another formative and then summative assessment to see what knowledge they have acquired, and what I would either need to reteach or move on to the next part of the Jolly Phonics program. From my understanding of big ideas, here what I'm trying to do, or as the teachers are trying to do, is to help students be able to read, using their phonetical ability, to be able to read words, tricky words, and understand their reading by the end of the year at the grade level that they are at. At the beginning of the Jolly Phonics program, students will learn the letter sounds s, at, it. They will learn one letter sound a day using different stories, music to go along with those letters, and activities to learn how to not only say the sound of the letter, but also write the sound of the letter, and slowly being introduced to different pictures that start with that letter sound. To go along with the Jolly Phonics program, I will also be using an app on the iPads or computers called Teacher Monster How to Read. And each student will have their own little monster they create, and they will do different games and activities where they have to recognize the sound of the letter, play different games, and as they go getting the answers correct, then they will move up a level. So it's also another way to monitor their progress. And for students who have difficulty with the Jolly Phonics program, it's another way for them to interact and for the teacher to monitor their progress in their Jolly Phonics. For the students who already know their letter sounds, they will move on to reading tricky words and leveled readers to see and identify what words they're struggling with, and they will be using pictures and short sentences to describe and demonstrate their learning. They will be given pictures and starter sentences to be able to describe what they know and understand through their reading. This is just a summarized idea of how I'll unpack the standard and a lesson plan of how I will start teaching the students the different sounds of the letters to be able to decode and blend sounds together to form words and understanding with their reading. Attached to this video, I will put my unpacked standard and I will put my lesson plan for what I would do with the students. Thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone.